September 24th, 1991, Kensington Palace, 8:47 p.m. Princess Diana sat across from Prince Charles in their private sitting room, a manila envelope in her hands, containing evidence that could destroy not just his reputation, but the entire monarchy. For 10 years, she had endured his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles in silence, but tonight, everything changed. Diana looked her husband directly in the eyes and delivered the most devastating ultimatum in royal history. You have 48 hours, Charles. Choose her and lose the crown, your children and your future, or choose your duty and end this affair forever. What happened in those next 48 hours would determine the fate of the British royal family, but what nobody knows is the shocking evidence Diana had collected and Charles's desperate response when he realized his wife held the power to destroy everything he had ever wanted, the evidence that changed everything. September 24th, 1991, 7:30 p.m. Diana had spent months preparing for this moment. In the manila envelope on her lap were photographs, hotel receipts, phone records, and witness testimonies that documented Charles's affair in devastating detail. But the most damaging evidence wasn't about the affair itself, it was about the money. Diana had discovered that Charles had been using Duchy of Cornwall funds to pay for Camilla's lifestyle. Expensive gifts, luxury hotel stays, even renovations to Camilla's home, all funded by money that legally belonged to the British people. Charles, Diana said, her voice steady and controlled, we need to talk. Charles looked up from his evening newspaper, irritated by the interruption. Can't this wait, Diana? I've had a long day. No, it can't wait, because in this envelope, I have evidence that could end your claim to the throne. Charles's newspaper fell to the floor. What are you talking about? Diana opened the envelope and placed the first photograph on the coffee table between them. It showed Charles and Camilla entering the Ritz Hotel in Paris. This was taken 3 weeks ago, when you told me you were attending a conservation meeting. Charles went pale. Diana, I'm not finished. Diana placed another document on the table. This is a receipt for a £15,000 necklace, purchased with duchy funds, delivered to Mrs. Camilla Parker Bowles. But wait, you haven't seen the most shocking evidence Diana had discovered. The financial scandal that could topple the monarchy. 8 p.m. The documents keep coming. Diana continued placing evidence on the table like a prosecutor presenting her case. This, she said, holding up a bank statement, shows £67,000 in unauthorized payments from your private accounts to contractors working on Camilla's house. Charles's hands began trembling. Diana, you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. You've been embezzling money to fund your mistress's lifestyle. It's not embezzlement. What would you call using public funds for personal expenses? What would Parliament call it? What would the Queen call it? Diana pulled out another document. This is a letter from Camilla's bank, thanking her for the substantial deposit made by His Royal Highness's office. Charles realized the scope of Diana's investigation. She hadn't just been collecting evidence of the affair. She had been building a case for financial misconduct. Diana, where did you get all this? I have friends, Charles. People who believe the British public deserves to know how their future king spends their money. Diana leaned forward. But here's what really sealed your fate. She placed a final photograph on the table. It showed Charles and Camilla at a private dinner, but they weren't alone. Sitting with them were several foreign businessmen who had been under investigation for corruption. This dinner happened the same week you advocated for their company to receive a government contract, a contract worth £200 million. Charles felt sick. Diana, that's not. It's exactly what it looks like. You've been mixing your personal relationship with state business. That's not just adultery, Charles. That's treason. Hold up. Diana's ultimatum was about to get even more devastating. The 48-hour countdown begins. 8:15 p.m. Diana's power play. Diana gathered all the evidence back into the envelope and looked at Charles with ice-cold determination. Here's what's going to happen, Charles. You have exactly 48 hours to make a choice. What kind of choice? End your relationship with Camilla completely and permanently, or I release all of this evidence to the press, Parliament, and the Queen. Charles stood up, panic rising in his voice. Diana, you can't. I can and I will. Do you think I've spent 10 years being humiliated just to give up now? What exactly are you demanding? Diana's voice became deadly calm. You will call Camilla tonight and tell her your relationship is over forever. You will have no contact with her, no phone calls, no letters, no secret meetings, nothing. And if I refuse, then by Thursday morning, every newspaper in Britain will have copies of these documents. The headline will be Prince Charles, Embezzler and Traitor. Charles felt his world crashing down. Diana, think about what this would do to the monarchy. I've thought about nothing else for months. The monarchy will survive. The question is whether you will. But you're not ready for what Diana revealed next. The nuclear option. 8:25 p.m. Diana's final card. Just when Charles thought the ultimatum couldn't get worse, Diana pulled out one more document. There's something else, Charles. What? I've already spoken to a lawyer. If you choose Camilla over your duty, I will not only release this evidence, I will fight for full custody of William and Harry. Charles felt like he'd been punched. You can't take my children. Watch me. A man who embezzles public funds and commits treason for his mistress isn't fit to raise the future King of England. Diana's voice became emotionally charged for the first time. Do you think I'll let you damage my sons the way you've damaged me? Do you think I'll let them grow up thinking this kind of behavior is acceptable? Diana, please. Those boys deserve a father who understands honor, duty, and sacrifice. If you can't be that man, then they're better off without you. Charles realized Diana wasn't just threatening his marriage or his reputation. She was threatening to take away everything that mattered to him. You have 48 hours, Charles. Use them wisely. Don't miss this detail. What Charles did immediately after Diana left. Charles's panic. Hour 1. 8:45 p.m. Same evening. The moment Diana left the room, Charles's hands were shaking so badly he could barely dial the phone. Mother, I need to see you. Immediately. Charles, it's nearly 9 p.m. This is an emergency. She's collected evidence about Camilla, about the money. There was silence on the line. I'll be there in 30 minutes. When Queen Elizabeth arrived at Kensington Palace, her face was grim. She had been dreading this moment for years. Show me, she commanded. Charles handed her photocopies Diana had left behind, just enough to prove she wasn't bluffing. The Queen's face went white as she reviewed the evidence. Charles, how could you be so reckless? I never thought Diana was watching so closely. You never thought. Charles, you used duchy funds for personal expenses. You mixed state business with your affair. Did you think no one would ever notice? The Queen stood up, her voice cold with fury. You have brought the monarchy to the brink of destruction for a woman who isn't even divorced yet. But here's where everything gets absolutely devastating. What the Queen told Charles. The Queen's ultimatum. 9:30 p.m. Mother's rage. Queen Elizabeth looked at her son with disappointment and fury. Charles, Diana has us completely cornered. If she releases this evidence, Parliament will demand your abdication. The government will fall. The monarchy itself could be abolished. What do I do? You end this relationship with Camilla immediately, tonight. But mother, there are no buts, Charles. You are the heir to the throne. Your personal feelings are irrelevant compared to your duty. The Queen's voice rose higher than Charles had ever heard it. Do you think your great-uncle Edward was happy about abdicating for Wallis Simpson? Do you think any of us get to put personal happiness above duty? I love her, mother. Then you shouldn't have married Diana. You made your choice in 1981, and now you have to live with it. The Queen gathered her composure. You will call Camilla tonight. You will end this affair, and you will spend the rest of your life making up for the damage you've done to this family. And if I refuse, then I will personally ensure your abdication before Diana releases those documents. At least that way we can control the narrative. Charles realized even his own mother was prepared to sacrifice him to save the crown. This is where everything changes. Charles's call to Camilla, the phone call that ended everything. 10:45 p.m. Charles's study, with his mother sitting beside him. Charles dialed Camilla's number with trembling hands. Darling. Camilla's voice was warm and loving. I wasn't expecting to hear from you tonight. Cam, we need to talk. Something's happened. What's wrong? You sound terrible. Charles took a deep breath. Diana knows everything. She has evidence, photographs, financial records. She's given me an ultimatum. There was silence on the line. What kind of ultimatum? I have to choose. You or the throne. Charles, she'll destroy me, Cam. She'll destroy the monarchy. She has evidence of financial misconduct, conflicts of interest. She could have me charged with treason. Camilla's voice became small. What are you saying? I'm saying we have to end this permanently. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. I see, Camilla finally whispered. Cam, please understand. I understand perfectly, Charles. When it comes down to choosing between me and your precious crown, there's no choice at all, is there? That's not fair, isn't it? You've had 10 years to choose me, Charles. 10 years to leave Diana and marry me properly. Instead, you made me your mistress and made her your victim. Camilla's voice broke. And now, when she finally fights back, you abandon me to save yourself. The line went dead. But wait, you haven't seen Charles's reaction to losing Camilla. The breakdown, 11:15 p.m. Charles's despair. After hanging up the phone, Charles broke down completely. The Queen watched her son sob like a child who had lost his favorite toy. "She's right, Mother. I am a coward. I've destroyed everyone I claim to love. Charles, you made the only choice you could. Did I? Or did I just choose the easy path again?" Charles looked at his mother with tears streaming down his face. "I've lost Camilla. Diana hates me. My sons barely know me. What kind of king will I be?" The Queen had no answer. "Mother, what if Diana was right? What if I'm not worthy of the crown?" "Charles, stop this self-pity. You are the heir. You have duties. Duties I've failed at every turn. I couldn't be a proper husband. I couldn't be a proper father. I couldn't even be a proper adulterer. I got caught." The Queen realized her son was having a complete psychological breakdown. "Charles, tomorrow you will begin the work of rebuilding your marriage and your reputation. Tonight, you grieve, but this self-destruction ends now. You're not going to believe what happened when Diana returned." Diana's victory. Hour 47. September 26, 1991, 7:47 p.m. Diana returned to find Charles waiting for her in their sitting room. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 48 hours. "It's done," he said quietly. "What's done?" "I called Camilla. I ended it. Permanently." Diana studied her husband's face, and she hung up on me. I'll probably never speak to her again. Diana felt a strange mixture of triumph and sadness. She had won, but seeing Charles broken didn't feel as satisfying as she had expected. "What about the financial irregularities? I've spoken to the duchy officials. All payments will be reviewed, and any inappropriate expenses will be repaid to the Crown estate, and future contact with Camilla. None, ever. I've instructed my staff that she is not to be invited to any events I attend. I will not take her calls. I will not respond to her letters." Diana sat down across from her husband. "Do you hate me?" Charles looked at her with exhausted eyes. "No, Diana, I hate myself. You did what you had to do to protect yourself and our sons. I respect that. What happens now? Now we try to build a real marriage, if that's what you want. Don't miss this revelation." Diana's surprising response. The unexpected twist. 8 p.m. Diana's choice. Diana looked at Charles, this broken man who had finally given up the woman he loved to save his throne. "Charles, I need to tell you something." "What?" "I don't want to rebuild our marriage." Charles looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I didn't do this to win you back. I did this to prove I could. I did this to show you that I'm not the weak, naive girl you married." Diana's voice became stronger. "You chose your duty over Camilla, but I choose my happiness over duty." "Diana, I want a separation, Charles, a formal one. I'll fulfill my royal duties. I'll be a proper mother to our sons, but I won't pretend to be your loving wife anymore." Charles was stunned. "But you just forced me to give up Camilla, 'cause she was disrespecting our marriage and the monarchy. But ending your affair doesn't magically create love between us." Diana stood up. "You've learned that actions have consequences. Now I'm free to build the life I actually want." Here's the most shocking part. What Diana had planned all along, Diana's master plan revealed. The truth behind the ultimatum. Months later, Diana confided to her friend James Colthurst about her real motivation for the ultimatum. "I never wanted Charles back. I wanted him to lose something he valued, so he would understand how I felt." "You mean losing Camilla?" "Exactly. For 10 years, he made me feel powerless while he flaunted his affair. I wanted him to experience loss, helplessness, and sacrifice." Diana's plan had been brilliant in its psychology. She had forced Charles to prove his love for Camilla by giving her up, the ultimate test that he failed. But Diana wasn't forcing him to choose cruel. "James, was it cruel when he chose Camilla over me every day for 10 years? Sometimes the only way to teach someone empathy is to make them experience your pain." Diana had used the ultimatum not to save her marriage, but to end it on her terms. She had proven she could destroy Charles if she chose to, then use that power to negotiate her freedom. The final truth, how this changed everything. The legacy of 48 hours, what really changed. The 48-hour ultimatum didn't save Charles and Diana's marriage, it ended it properly. But it also accomplished something more important. Diana proved her power. She showed the royal family she couldn't be ignored or dismissed. Charles learned consequences. For the first time, his actions had real costs. The monarchy adapted. They realized Diana was an asset who needed to be respected, not controlled. Public opinion shifted. Diana's confidence and independence made her more popular than ever. Years later, royal biographer Andrew Morton wrote, "The ultimatum wasn't about winning Charles back. It was about Diana proving she could win, and once she proved that, she didn't need him anymore." Charles never fully recovered from losing Camilla on Diana's terms. Even after Diana's death, when he eventually married Camilla, he carried the humiliation of having been forced to choose duty over love. Diana, meanwhile, had learned she was powerful enough to bring down the future King of England. That knowledge transformed her from victim to victor. The truth. Diana's 48-hour ultimatum was the moment she stopped playing defense and started playing offense. She didn't use her evidence to destroy Charles. She used it to free herself. Sometimes the most powerful victory isn't crushing your enemy, it's proving you could crush them, then choosing mercy. Diana showed Charles she held his future in her hands, then opened those hands and walked away. The ultimatum wasn't about love, it was about power, and Diana had finally learned how to use hers.